Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of the Prince Hall Think Tank, being a young leader in the old man's fraternity. We hope you had a happy Easter, and we hope you enjoy the show as well. My name is Dave Gillarm. I'm a past master of Mount Pisgah Lodge number 53 in Columbus, Georgia. This lodge operates under the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia, where the Honorable Bruce A. James serves as our Grandmaster. And as always, for our disclaimer, the views and opinions that are expressed by us tonight in no way reflect the views and opinions of the Grand Lodges in which we hold membership. So now we're going to go ahead and get to the introductions. Brother Ken Collins.
Good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Ken Collins. I serve as the Grand Lodge historian for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Alabama, where Corey D. Hawkins is the Grand Master, and I'm a proud member of Pride of North Birmingham Lodge number 319, where the Right Honorable Reverend Timothy Sanford is the Worshipful Master. We're glad everybody tuned in today, and we look forward to today's topic.
Thank you for that, Brother Collins. Brother Morgan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being ignorant. Good evening, everybody. My name is James Morgan. I am the Worshipful Master of Corinthian Lodge number 18, under the auspices of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia, where the Honorable Norman L. Campbell is our Most Worshipful Grand Master. I also have the pleasure of serving that jurisdiction as the Worshipful Associate Grand Historian, and I'm very honored to be here with my other Grand Master from my home state of New Jersey, Grandmaster Prescott.
All right, thank you for that, Brother Morgan. All right, next we're going to have Brother Collins.
Good afternoon, happy Easter to everyone. My name is Prescott Collins Jr. I am the Worshipful Master of Toussaint Lodge number 19 under the auspices of Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Ohio, where our Grand Master is the Honorable Carl A. Williams. Once again, happy Easter to everybody, and good to see everybody again. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
All right, thank you for that, Brother Collins. And before I introduce these next two, we have just made history on our show. The Prince Hall Think Tank was the brainchild of Brother Antonio Caffey out of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Ohio. I happen to serve as the Grand Historian for the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia, and we are making history on this show because this is the first time that we actually have two Grandmasters on. So the first Grandmaster, he's going to introduce himself, is Most Worshipful Corey Hawkins out of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Alabama.
Good evening. I'm Corey Hawkins. I am the 11th Grand Master of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, Free Accepted Masons, jurisdiction of Alabama, where Prince Hall Freemasonry is alive and well.
Thank you for that, Grandmaster Hawkins. And now we have Grandmaster Shelton Prescott from the Prince Hall Grand Lodge in New Jersey.
Grandmaster Shelton J. Prescott, past master from Integrity Lodge number 51 in Paterson, New Jersey, 88th Most Worshipful Grand Master for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, State of New Jersey.
All right, thank you for that, Grandmaster Prescott. This show is going to be very interesting, and to explain the purpose of this show will be done by Brother Ken Collins.
Hey, everybody. Again, a reoccurring thing that we have with the Prince Hall Think Tank is essentially the concept of we're starting to see more and more young men enter to Freemasonry. And what we're trying to do with the Prince Hall Think Tank is we've tried to lay down a baseline of answering the questions of what is it that our members are really seeking. And what we've really seen is a reoccurring theme of young men are looking for esoteric information. That's why we're sort of hitting the esoteric piece, the historical piece. And what one reoccurring theme is that no matter if it's inside of the chat rooms, if it's in personal conversations, it's always been the conversation of how do young men participate in what they consider old man's fraternity. Because if we look at the demographics of not only the Prince Hall lodges, but Grand Lodges all across the country, the demographics are broken out where most of our members are above the age of 50. But at the same time, there are more and more young men getting involved who not only have the intellectual capacity to sit in the seats, but they also have the leadership skills to actually serve. So what better conversation that we want to have with our viewers than to bring on two of the youngest Grandmasters in Prince Hall Freemasonry at this time. But not only that, Corey Hawkins, Grandmaster Hawkins, can get into, he was 39 when he was first elected as Grandmaster, and I think he's 43 going on 44 now. And then we also have Grandmaster Shelton Prescott, originally elected at the ripe age of 41 and will be 42 this year. So that's the rationale for the conversation that we're having today, specifically to talk about young leaders in an old man's fraternity. So Dave, we'll turn it back over to you to get the conversation rolling.
All right, thank you for that, Brother Collins. I have a quick presentation. And what I want to talk about, since this show is about being a young leader in an old man's fraternity, but it hasn't always been that way. And if you look at the origins of some of our Grand Lodges, the members that helped start some of the Prince Hall, at least the Prince Hall Grand Lodges, they were all very young. All right. Am I good to go?
Yes, sir. I see it.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
fine.
Click on yourself to bring your screen up.
All right. Let me go back and do this again. All right. My screen is up now?
We're not full screen. You're at the bottom.
All right. Hopefully, I'll be good to go now. Apologize for the technical difficulties.
Look fine to me, but not sure what anyone else is seeing.
All right. Am I full screen now?
To me, you are.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and go with it. This was being a young leader in the old man's fraternity. And in this presentation, I just took Georgia, as you all can expect. I'm the grand historian from Georgia, so I'm always going to talk about Georgia Masonry. When I started looking at our initial officers for the founding of the Grand Lodge, James Sims, who was our first Grand Master, he was elected at the age of 47. It's really not that old. And going down to our Deputy Grand Master, at the time, our Deputy Grand Master position was appointed, and this was Louis Burke Toomer at the age of 40. So we got the Grand Senior Warden and the Grand Junior Warden, who were both in their 30s. Our Grand Secretary, Albert Jackson, was just 28, and the Grand Treasurer, Charles De La Mata, was age of 47. So these people had a range of being either young or that middle age, but these definitely were not old men that helped start our Grand Lodge. But actually having young leaders in Georgia is really nothing new. John H. DeVoe was our third Grand Master, and he was elected to the office at Grand Master at the age of 26 in 1874. This guy was very young. He was a mover and shaker in the Savannah area. He was a collector of custom. He was a tax collector. He was a very important person in the Savannah area, and this guy was just 26 when he was elected Grand Master. Next, we have Bishop Archibald J. Carey Sr. He was the first worshipful master of Lincoln Lodge number 62 in Athens, Georgia, and he was elected to that position at the age of 21 in 1889. His son, after leaving Georgia, and this was kind of off the subject. They went to Chicago, and his son, Archibald J. Carey Jr., became a very important politician. And you can Google this, and there's a rumor that Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech was actually plagiarized by Archibald. He actually plagiarized this from Archibald J. Carey Jr. And lastly, we have John Thomas King. He was the worship master of Bradwell Lodge number 4, which is now Lewis Hayden Lodge number 6. And he was that worship master in 1872 when he was just 26 years of age. Now, John Thomas King was also the son of the famous bridge builder, Horace King. So during a period of time, it seemed like we went from having young leaders at the establishment of the Grand Lodge to our middle period of having where we had just older members taking all the seats, and now we have a reemergence of young leaders. Ron Triplett II is actually he's not a district deputy Grand Master in Atlanta. He was elected to the office of Worshipful Master at the age of 25. In the middle, you have Brother Demetrius Moulton, who was the Worshipful Master Eureka Lodge number 1, and he was elected to the office at the age of 26. Then you have myself, even though I'm the older out of the two. I was elected to the office of Worshipful Master at the age of 29. Now, what's interesting, not only was I under the age of 30, at the time that I was elected Worship Master, I had only been a Mason for 3 years. And now it seems like we're starting to go back to the way, to our origins. The way our Grand Lodge started, we had a lot of young membership. And now we're starting to see a reemergence of that young leadership, reemergence of that young leadership. And our Right Worshipful, we have Right Worshipful Corey D. Hawkins Sr. He's the youngest elected Deputy Grand Master in Georgia history. He was also the first Worshipful Master of Foundation Lodge number 592 and the first illustrious potentate of Al-Karim Temple number 242. Unless something very drastic happens, he will more than likely also be the next Grand Master of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia. So you see, we're starting to return back to our roots of having these young leaders. And when you have young leaders, you're going to have new ideas. And you're going to deal with the, and your Grand Lodge is going to continue to progress. So that ends my presentation, talking about the reemergence of young leaders in today's Prince Hall Masonry. Next, we're going to go into some questions, and we got Brother James Morgan. You're up first.
Okay. Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Once again, I want to say, first of all, when we came up with this topic, it really was very personal for me because I am a 26-year-old worshipful master of a lodge. I joined Masonry, became a Master Mason at the age of 20. I actually was made assistant grand historian before I was even worshipful master at the age of 24. So, and again, none of the things that I've done in Masonry were handed to me, just like anyone else. I had to earn my way up those ranks, so to speak. However, one thing that's kind of always struck me is that even when we try to start with the Prince Hall think tank, is that some brothers have this idea that, you should wait your turn. You have to, wait until you've reached a certain age or a certain number of years within Freemasonry to become a leader, to step up and to take on projects or to spearhead different opportunities. I'm very interested to know from Grandmaster Hawkins, what is your reaction to that? What has that been like for you in your ascent to becoming Grandmaster? Has anyone ever tried to tell you to wait in line or to wait your turn? And how did that kind of make you feel? And what did you do about it?
Well, yes, I've been told to wait my turn, wait my time. I've never sought out a position, and I was raised at the age of 18 in the jurisdiction of Alabama. You're eligible to become a Mason at the age of 18. At the age of 24, I was elected Worshipful Master of a lodge. But the lodge that I was raised in had majority older brothers, and one thing that they taught me is that never ask for a position. Put in the work, and your work will speak for you. and that's what I've always gone by. But there have been times when brothers have said, "Wait your turn." And as I stated before, I've never sought out a position. It just seems to, I just seem to be in the right place at the right time, I guess you could say. But it would not have been possible without being mentored by some strong Masons. One of those strong Masons that mentored me was W.H. Mack. If any of you are really active in the York Rite, you probably have heard the name.
Mm-hmm.
He was Mr. York Rite in the Jersey.
Grandmaster Hawkins, are you there? Okay, I think we're having some technical difficulties with him. Grandmaster Prescott, can you, I guess, maybe pick up same question?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh,
Now the thing is, when I was given an opportunity to prove myself, I was ready. You can't be looking for an opportunity and then when you called upon, not be ready. He was one of those that would put you on the spot,
mm-hmm.
and you had to be able to prove yourself to him and to others when he put you on the spot.
Mm. Well, it's like I always say to brothers in my lodge. I have a phrase: half the battle is showing up. Sometimes, to me, that's half the battle.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. Grandmaster Prescott, same question. What has it been like for you in the Great Garden State of New Jersey as you've ascended? Were you ever told to wait your turn, or you had to wait until you got a certain level of experience before you could take on something? What has that been like for you?
All the time. But I have to echo the sentiments of Most Worshipful Hawkins. Let your work serve as your publicist. When I was coming through the line, and I had a fast track to the office of Worshipful Master in a 4-year span. And I understand that this is a progressive science, and we have to have progressive thinking and progressive action. But we do have customs and traditions that are very important to a lot of our well-informed, seasoned brethren. So I just wanted to make sure that I met the norms and expectations that were already set in the lodge. When it came to the ritualistic work, when it came to chairing programs, I didn't necessarily ask to be a part of a committee. I wanted to chair the committee because I knew that there was always this game that I had to prove myself, and I had to show these brethren that I was worthy and well qualified to be the Worshipful Master. The other thing is, which I thought was very important, a lot of the ritualistic work and the committees and the programs that we had in our lodge, I made sure that I accomplished all of those components before I went to the Oriental chair, because I think it's very difficult to lay out expectations to the membership when you haven't done it yourself. Mm-hmm. Here in New Jersey, we have a scripture that says, show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, and then your teaching show integrity and dignity. We have to model the norms and expectations that we have for others. And I believe that whether young or old, if that is being exemplified in the position of leadership, I don't care how old you are, I will follow you. But it just so happened, thanks be to God, that it worked out for me. And when I went in the office of Worshipful Master, I was very productive because I had the support of the old and young membership.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll kick it back to you, Dave.
All right, thank you, Brother Morgan. And I have one alibi. I did misspeak during my presentation. I meant Corey D. As you saw it on the slide, I meant Corey Shackelford Sr. instead of Corey Hawkins.
Notice how Grandmaster Hawkins didn't correct you. He just
I thought I had dual membership.
Right.
And I know that Right Worshipful Shackelford Sr. is watching, and please don't jump on when you see me. Charge it to my head, not my heart. And also for
good brother.
Yeah.
You working on your suspension, Dave?
Oh yeah. I probably have my letter in the mail. But before we get into the other questions, want to get the background from Grandmaster Hawkins. Kind of tell us who you are, where you're from, and that way the viewers get to know who you are.
Okay. I'm the middle of three boys born to Parker and Diane Hawkins, born and raised in small town, Alabama, a small town by the name of Leeton, Alabama, in what's called the Tennessee Valley. Went to college at Alabama A&M University, got a bachelor's degree there, taught school for 15 years and went to law school at night, took the bar exam, passed it, and now I have my own practice in Birmingham. When I graduated from college, I moved to Birmingham. I was raised up by parents who expected me to do right, and if I got out of line, they let me know about it. I was raised in the lodge at the age of 18. As soon as I hit the ground, I've been running ever since. I've served over all houses on a subordinate level in York and Scottish Rite. I've served as the Grand Thrice Illustrious Master for the WH Mac Select Masters jurisdiction of Alabama, and also served as the Right Eminent Grand Commander of the jurisdiction of Alabama. I was elected Grandmaster in 2013, and just been working hard. Doing my best to help build a membership and bring the visibility back to Prince Hall Freemasonry.
Thank you for that, Grandmaster Hawkins. And now we have Grandmaster Prescott. Kind of tell us who you are and where you're from.
Born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey, in the 4th Ward, one of the most difficult areas in the city of Paterson. The younger of two children to Johnny and Shirley Prescott, was educated in the Paterson public school system. As a high school senior, I was blessed and fortunate to be a Division I scholar athlete. Was recruited by a lot of Division I schools and decided to go to Syracuse University, where I played football and started for 3 years. First team All Big East, played in 3 bowl games. Graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Child Development. Went back to my hometown in Paterson, New Jersey, started teaching, where I continue to serve in that capacity at this time. It is my 19th year. Also served as a football coach, worked in after-school programs and enrichment programs throughout my educational career. As a Master Mason, I was raised at the age of 28, was Worshipful Master at the age of 32, was blessed and fortunate to have a productive year, and actually was pulled out of a pot of grits and dipped in fish grease, became District Deputy Grand Master the following year after I came out as Worshipful Master under the leadership of Most Worshipful Homo Justice. After I served as District Deputy Grand Master under the leadership of Thomas R. Hughes Sr., I became Grand Lecturer for the jurisdiction. And after that year, I put my name and nomination for the office of Junior Grand Warden. I am also a member of every house in the Masonic family. I served as Excellent High Priest, Thrice Illustrious Master, Worthy Patron, Most Worthy Joshua, but where I have made a lot of impact and influence is in the Blue House, with a lot of the programs that was instituted under my leadership, not only as a Worshipful Master, but also as a deputy and also as a lecturer. And then I went through the line from 2010 up until June of 2015, this past year, where I was blessed to become the 88th Most Worshipful Grand Master. And the objective is to build the brand of Freemasonry by not chipping away at the foundation. We have to build this brand with great dignity and integrity, and that's the #1 objective. to bring some pride and some value back to a fraternal organization that has a rich history.
All right, thank you for that, Grandmaster Prescott. Now we go back to the questions, and Brother Collins, you're up next.
Thanks for that, Dave. Grandmaster Prescott, I won't hold it against you that you played for Syracuse. I'm a diehard Michigan Wolverines fan, so but you're still okay with me. My question is, and I'll ask you the exact same question, Grandmaster Hawkins. What advice would you give to a young leader in this fraternity, in today's fraternity, who has a lot of ideas and has a lot of changes that they would like to see made for good in Prince Hall Freemasonry?
Well, I think the first thing that we have to understand is that in this organization, you have time, patience, and application. And I think that there's a lot of brothers who have a lot of ideas, and I think that they have a lot of innovation and energy that they want to bring into the organization. And I think that's a beautiful thing because we are a progressive organization. However, I think it needs to be a balance because some of our seasoned brethren, they have to make sure that their ideas and ideals are being respected in regards to our organization. So one, you have to have thick skin because sometimes we get some constructive criticism as young brothers, and we might get a little sensitive about that. However, I don't think it's about the messenger, it's about the message. We have to understand that sometimes the constructive criticism may come in some very harsh and difficult ways. But we just have to continue to press forward and understand that this organization, there isn't a beginning, there isn't an end. We're always in this organization willing to learn and press forward. And if you can't get the information out of your lodge, then you go to another lodge, you travel, you seek counsel, you reach out to other brethren to seek the light that you want. You also have to initiate that process as well. This organization is not easy. Everybody's circumstances are not different. The framework in every lodge is not the same. So you know what? When you get a chance to get in the game, you make sure that they know that you played it and you played it hard. And this is not a fast track to get to the position of leadership as per a title. You can be a leader and not be in a position of a title. Well, a title like a worshipful master or a grandmaster or excellent high priest or a worthy patron. There are other components that you can use to be an effective leader. And I think those brothers have to find ways in order to do that.
I agree with Grandmaster Prescott. My personal opinion is each lodge has its own personality. And when you come in as a young member of that lodge, you have to learn what that lodge's personality is. And I always of seasoned brothers and young brothers. You have the seasoned brother there to expound his wisdom upon the young brother, put the young brother to work. But there's a time and place for new ideas. And what I mean by that is you can't come into a lodge, just for an example, that's composed of mostly ministers, older ministers or something of that nature, and want to throw a big party, something that they don't do in that lodge, if you understand what I'm saying. So you have to make sure that your ideas are in line with the personality of that lodge. And all seasoned brother that you learn that you can run things by before you present it to the lodge. And a lot of times he can tell you what you need to change to get the lodge to go along with your idea, or whether you need to scrap that plan altogether, or he can give you some constructive criticism away from the meeting and away from the craft to help you better your pitch to try to bring a good idea to the lodge. And if and when you're denied or you get that criticism, don't let that run you away. As Brother Grandmaster Prescott has stated, this is a progressive science, and whenever you're trying to progress, sometimes you're going to face rejection. But you just have to continue to work hard to prove yourself to the seasoned brothers and to let them know that you're serious and that you're not chasing titles. But you know, I look at my lodges. I learned my lodge personality before I brought an idea to the lodge, and I would talk to that seasoned brother away from the lodge to get some ideas from him as to how to pitch the idea and what I can do with the idea to have the brothers go along with it.
I also believe that it's easy to pass the torch, but I think a lot of our brethren are very apprehensive to do it because you have to make sure that you're passing the torch to someone who is prepared. And everybody is not prepared to take on the responsibility. We have great ideas, we have aspirations, but we have to, like Most Worshipful Hawkins said, we have to understand how this organization operates. You have brethren who try to take a fast track to all the different houses in Freemasonry, but they don't even have the basic skills and understanding of ancient craft masonry. It's almost like sending somebody off to war with no basic training. I truly believe that if we have brothers that come into the lodge, I think they need to take the time to understand how the lodge work, build these skills, build a component of confidence, build a component of competency, so whereas when you go to other houses, you'll be able to function properly. The titles are different, and maybe the ceremonies are different, but the structure is the same. It doesn't change. And I think we need to spend more time in ancient craft masonry and build this skill set that will help us be more effective, not only as leaders, but also within some of our organizations, because we even have folks that are in positions of leadership in other houses that don't have some of these basic skills. And now it's serving as a measuring stick of other leaders or future leaders to come. We shouldn't even be able to see the measuring stick. It should be to a point where we're always trying to push it through the stratosphere.
Another thing, and I tell young brothers this all the time, especially those aspiring to make it to the East. The easy part is putting the hat on and holding the gavel in your hand. That's the easy part. The easy part is learning the rituals, you know, the opening and the closing, being able to recite it. But the part is the lodge management. What are you doing between meetings? There's much more to being the master of a lodge other than opening and closing of a lodge. And that's what I think a lot of young brothers need to understand. You know, yeah, it looks good to have the hat, you know, and the gavel. But if you're going to do it and do it right, there's a lot of work that goes along with that. And you must be prepared to do that work.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for that. And for our viewers, feel free to go to the Prince Hall Think Tank page or the Prince Hall Think Tank Facebook group and post your questions, comments, have whatever conversation that you want to have. Once we get through with our questions, we are going to go to those pages and pull questions from the viewers as well. Next question, Brother Collins.
I think Preston dropped off. He'll be back on in a second. I'll go ahead and drop and jump in.
Excuse me, Brother Collins. I just want to note that when Grandmaster Hawkins talked about being in a lodge full of ministers and wanting to throw crazy parties, that's when he dropped off. I just want to note that for the record. That's when he disappeared. Just for the record.
You know, this is something that really has been really important to my my walk in Masonry. In particular, dealing with Prince Hall Freemasonry, and I say that as Congressman Lewis says, the beloved community. I say the communities that we are in. For a long time, Prince Hall Freemasonry, and it still is today. People just don't know it. Every major milestone in regarding the African American experience has had Prince Hall Freemasonry there. And I would say near the end of the 60s, moving into the 70s, when we start going into the Vietnam era and the end of the Vietnam era, that's when we started to see the dwindling of the numbers in Prince Hall Freemasonry. I think that's across the board. But this is getting to my question. That's when I believe that the lodges started to what I call fall in within themselves. Other than St. John's Day, other than funerals, other than things of that nature, I think that's when we started to see more of we started to lose the visibility of the lodge. And in my walk in Freemasonry, I always wanted to make sure that we're there in public, showing people that we're still there. And this is the question I want to pose to you two as Grandmaster. You know, during your administrations, what have you done in particular to ensure that Prince Hall Freemasonry has been at the forefront of our communities, and that we were actively, what are you guys doing to actively make yourself seen throughout your jurisdiction?
Well, I'll go first. That was one of my major goals when I was elected Grand Master, was to bring back the visibility to the organization within the state. And I think thus far we've done a pretty good job of doing that. We each year since 2014, we have participated in and as you all know, we have participated in the Selma March, the reenactment of Bloody Sunday, where we have approximately 1,000 brothers to come together dressed out as Master Masons, arm in arm, going across the Edmund Pettus Bridge to educate ourselves, as well as show some visibility and support for the movement, which during that time was so important to us getting our voting rights. Also, one of the brothers who the march also honored was Jimmy Lee Jackson, who was a member of a Lodge 132 in the jurisdiction of Alabama, who was killed simply because he was trying to get his voting rights. So each time we do that, each year, the very next week, the phones in the offices are ringing off the hook with brothers wanting to reinstate and men. We've also State House, and we're brought onto the floor of the State Senate, and we're given an opportunity to address them, which helps to bring visibility back to the organization, not only to the public, but also to those elected officials, to let them know that we are here and we are voters. We've done that. We have lodges that each Thanksgiving serve dinner in the historic Kelly Ingram Park. We have our Prince Hall Americanism weekend that we began in 2013 in Montgomery, Alabama. We support HBCU, Alabama State University. We make a scholarship donation. At halftime, we go out on the field dressed as Master Masons at halftime to make the scholarship donation. We participate in the Hornet Walk. We get out and tailgate during the day, which is something that in the jurisdiction of Alabama, we really, up until now, we really didn't do anything that promoted socializing, where you can let your hair down and fellowship with your brothers outside of the lodge, in an environment where you can, laugh and have fun and, put your short pants on or whatever you want to do, and enjoy each other and get to know each other better. So those are some of the things that we're doing. Now we get calls all the time. They didn't know the Masons still exist. They're glad to see us actually getting involved. I've learned, and one of the things that I didn't realize when I got elected Grandmaster is that the Grandmaster, a lot of the Grandmaster's work is serving as an ambassador for the organization. And we brought back the visibility, the connection that Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Alabama had with the NAACP. We're also, we make appearances at several different, and I let them know when I go that I can't tell my members how to vote, but we are voters. So I've made several appearances at different political arenas and things of that nature. Just something always is on my schedule to help promote Prince Hall Masonry in the jurisdiction of Alabama.
In regards to New Jersey, let me just first say, when I was Grand Lecturer, I gave the statement of purpose at Prince Hall Day, at our Prince Hall Day service, and one of the quotes that I had in my statement of purpose was, don't be well known throughout the state and throughout the country and unknown in your own community. We have people that have national recognition and national attention within our Masonic organization, and the moment they drive out of their parking lot of their lodge, nobody knows who they are. We have to do great things for the world at large to be convinced of our good effects. When you talk about the Kwanzaa term Ujima, it talks about collective work and responsibility, that we have to build and develop our communities together. And as Prince Hall Masons, we should be a part of that process. Here in the state of New Jersey, we have our Prince Hall Family Relief Fund, in which we give out proceeds to those who have fell on hard times through disaster situations. I also believe that the initiatives that you have within your Grand Lodge should be parallel to the problems in your community. We do have 4 primary initiatives here in the state of New Jersey. One is Lift Every Voice to Fight Voter Suppression, understanding the power and purpose of the ballot. We have partnered with the NAACP and the People's Organization for Progress, and we have a 6-level component that we are trying to expound within the community through workshops and panel discussions at a grassroots level. The first component is voter education. The second one is voter registration. The third is voter motivation. The fourth is voter organization. The fifth is voter mobilization. And prayerfully, the sixth one is voter legislation. Here it is. After 51 years of the Voting Rights Act, we still have to prove to this country that we are worthy and well qualified to cast the ballot. We don't need a Voting Rights Act. We need a voting rights law. The other thing is, how do we motivate our young people to get out and vote? Through our workshops and through the programs that we have in the future, we have incorporated educators through the school district, and we're going to incorporate some students on how can we motivate our young people to actually get out and vote. We also have another initiative called Operation SAVE, which is an acronym for Supporting Anti-Violence Efforts, in which we are trying to educate our young people within our respective communities on relationships with policing, holding our people within the community accountable, especially those who are under the umbrella of public safety, and also teaching our young people to be accountable of their own lives, to be responsible, and to make good choices. We have partnered with a group called Intersections, along with the men of Phi Beta Sigma, Fraternity Incorporated, and also the East Orange School District, in which we are putting together a production called Uniform Justice that deals with policing and also the relationships of law enforcement within the respective communities and how we can govern our communities ourselves. We also have our autism initiative supporting autism during the month of April. We have partnered with IHOP, International House of Pancakes, with our autism program during the month of April, Monday through Friday, with the flyers that we have in collaboration with IHOP. Anybody that comes in there Monday through Friday with that flyer and eat, 20% of those proceeds will go to parents of autistic children. In addition, we also have bracelets that we're selling where 100% of the proceeds will go to autism. We also have a component dealing with prostate cancer, in which we have had workshops even at the subordinate level, educating our brothers to get out and get tested, go to the doctor, take care of yourself. You're not going to be of value to our lives or our grand lives if you can't be healthy and of value to yourself. We also had our inaugural Prince Hall Community Festival this past September in East Orange, New Jersey at Elmwood Park, and that actually gave us a chance to build relationships with a lot of civic groups and faith-based groups and fraternal organizations on those 4 components of violence, voter suppression, autism, and prostate cancer. We also had a lot of youth activities at this Prince Hall Festival. Live entertainment, we gave away free food. We had other workshops that we collaborated with some of the other groups that was there on that particular day. And then the following day, we had our Prince Hall service, which was in Paterson, New Jersey, in which we gave charity away. The vision of the Prince Hall weekend is to take this festival to different communities every single year to build relationships throughout the state of New Jersey with some of these groups at a grassroots level and really push these initiatives that we have in place. Actually, this year in 2016, our Prince Hall Community Festival will be in Camden, New Jersey, which is one of the more difficult communities and cities here in the state. Outside of that, we have had our Grand Lodge charity raffle, in which we raffle off a Mercedes-Benz, and 40% of the proceeds that we sell goes back to the membership. And we have also partnered with outside organizations dealing with our Grand Lodge charity raffle, and that has allowed us to increase the purse of our scholarship program that we give annually in the month of May. We also have in the month of May our Prince Hall College Bus Tour, in which we will be visiting Morgan State University, and we got our personal tour guide. We don't have no money to pay for him to be a tour guide. It's going to be a labor of love, but we're going to Howard University as well. So those are just some of the examples of what we're doing in the state of New Jersey, but we are big on building the Prince Hall brand through service and less rhetoric. We want the world at large to be convinced of our good effects.
Very good. Thank you both Grandmasters for that. We're going to start going to some of the audience questions. Before we do, I do want to say for Grandmaster Prescott, as everybody knows, I am a native of New Jersey, and some of the neighborhoods that you talked about where you have in some of these programs like Elmwood Park and East Orange. I mean, I grew up, in that area, as you know. Those are not necessarily the prettiest neighborhoods, so I want to commend you especially for going into the more difficult parts of our community and bringing the light of Freemasonry the only way that Prince Hall brothers know how to.
Well, yeah. I just want to interject on that. I believe that we need to be in the communities where they need our services. Mm-hmm. Period. And the initiatives should run parallel with the problems in those communities. I know Brother Hawkins can attest to this. being a teacher, me being a special needs teacher, when you talk about an issue like autism, that might not seem like a popular component in our respective communities, but it's a major problem because we have a lot of young children in the public school systems public school systems that are being underfunded, they are understaffed, and then those children that have special needs are not getting the proper services that they deserve, particularly an issue like autism. And those are some fabulous young people who have a lot of skill sets, but they need the services to direct them in the right direction. Absolutely. So I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have one of the audience questions, which I think is a real interesting one. Is basically earlier during your introductions, we heard you both speak about your leadership in other Masonic bodies outside of just your lodge or grand lodges. I believe Grandmaster Hawkins spoke of serving on the grand level of other houses prior to becoming Most Worshipful Grandmaster. How did those experiences in your leadership on your way to becoming Grandmaster, how did that affect your leadership style? What skills did you learn on your way to becoming Grandmaster in those different positions? And is that a route that you would encourage other brothers to go? Let's say if they're seeking leadership status in the Grand Lodge level, would you encourage them before becoming Worshipful Master? Would you say, hey, maybe you should look at going to be Excellent High Priest or being the Commander-in-Chief of your consistory before you become Worshipful Master? Or do you think there's a formula to leadership, or is it just kind of go with the flow, whatever is your path? I guess we'll start off with you, Grandmaster Prescott, and then go over to Grandmaster Hawkins.
I don't really think there's a magic bullet when it comes to that, or any particular direction that you should go. I do think that you need to spend some time in the Blue House to learn a lot of the components of ancient craft masonry. And I'll just tell you that it almost took close to 2 years before I went to any house. I stayed in the Blue House, and I worked in the Blue House, and I made mistakes in the Blue House, and I continue to make mistakes in the Blue House, but I try not to make the same mistakes, but better mistakes. So I think it's not a rush job. You don't have to go to another house to try to get to the top as a practice for Worshipful Master, because I don't care what house you go to, there's nothing like being a Worshipful Master. There are a lot of components and barriers that you will have to deal with, and I just think that brothers have to take their time. I think they have to get as much information as possible, as much experience as possible, and that might even be chairing committees in their respective lodge. In my lodge in particular, when a brother becomes junior warden, he is automatically the chairperson of the Craftsman Club, which is the fundraising entity of our lodge and one of the most important entities within our lodge. So that gives a brother a chance not only to set up meetings, to set up committees, to set up a budget. I mean, he is getting leadership experience within that realm. So there are a lot of things that you can do in the Blue House, particularly to make you an effective leader to become Worshipful Master. Now, if you go to the Red House and you become Excellent High Priest, I think that's great as long as you're doing something while you're there. Just to have the seat doesn't mean that you're going to be an effective leader. If you can't bring nothing to the seat, please don't take anything away from it. Furthermore, I think a lot of times with leadership, we're leading for today, but we have to focus on tomorrow. How are we preparing our successors, those who are coming behind us? And I think that is another component of leadership. We have to be ready to prepare our successors. When I'm not around and I'm not able to do certain things, when the Deputy Grand Master, who is doing an outstanding job here in New Jersey, Tassan Dawood, when he steps up, we shouldn't miss a heartbeat. We shouldn't miss a heartbeat, and if we do miss a heartbeat, then I need to check myself. But I do believe that within leadership, we have to start preparing those who are coming behind us and not worry about our self-gratification. Is not about the praise, it's about the purpose. We have a purpose to fulfill in leadership.
I agree with Grandmaster Prescott. the Blue Lodge is the foundation. And being an ancient craft guy, you know, I think that's what the most work needs to be. Now, the first office that I held in the East was high priest. And the next year I got elected worshipful master. But at the same time, when I was serving as high priest, I continued to work in my Blue Lodge. And I think that's the mistake that some of us may make sometimes, is we get these offices in the upper houses and we forget about our Blue Lodge.
There you go.
But the Blue Lodge, no matter how high you go, you're going to come back down to the Blue Lodge. And I think that's where the major work needs to be. Now, as far as the offices that I held on the grand level, one thing that it taught me is how to assemble a team dispersed from throughout the jurisdiction of capable people who can help implement my plan and help make the administration successful. In implementing a team, you have some people to look at, well, how long has this brother been a member? My personal opinion is I don't look at how long he's been a member. What I look at is what can he offer? And if he can offer something to help better the organization, then I want him on my team. And in putting that team together, you have to look at personalities. You have to look at work schedules. You have to look at how well they get along with others. There's so much that goes into it. But I will say this: having served as the Grand Commander and the Grand Thrice Illustrious Master, helped prepare me for the office of Grand Master, because first of all, the Grand Council and the Grand Commandery, the membership is smaller than the Grand Lodge. So it's almost like I took baby steps to get where I am, because now I'm serving a much larger membership. But that experience, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because it did help prepare me. Now, on a subordinate level, serving as worshipful master, I agree with Grandmaster Prescott. To me, it's the most honorable position in Freemasonry, because you are the worshipful master of your lodge, and you lead your craft, and your craft is looking to you for leadership. And you always want to leave whatever position that you serve in. You always want to leave it in better shape than you found it. And what I mean by that is, I always think about my legacy, said about my administration once I'm out of the seat. Will it be said that I did a great job? Will it be said that I left it in good shape? Or will it be said that I didn't do as well as I should have done? So that's what motivates me, being able to leave a good legacy, and also surrounding myself with people who I know can help me get the job done.
Thank you for that. Our next question, which I feel is a really good one, and this is probably what the basis of our show is about, and this is addressed to all of us. What do you say to the young brother who feels left out and dismayed because as hard as he tries, he always gets the response, "You are too young to know about anything"?
When that opportunity comes, be prepared. The best way to prove them wrong is when the opportunity comes, be prepared. If you keep going to meetings and attending like you should, that opportunity will come. And the first impression is the best impression, because I get that opportunity again, whatever it may be. You know, they may put you in the senior warden seat and just test you to see how much you do or how well you conduct yourself. that you fail at it. You know, the intentions of putting you there may not all be positive. But if you prove yourself and show, hey, I can handle this, then I can guarantee that there will be other opportunities. Now, there's an old saying, you can catch more flies with honey than you can with venom. We kick the door down and go in and try and take over. You kind of got to work your way into the system to earn the seasoned brother's trust. And you know, a lot of times that's not easy, and it can get frustrating at times. But if you're respectful to the older brothers, you do what they ask you to do. Once again, seek out that older brother who has that knowledge, who's willing to take you under his wing, to school you on, you know, this is the move you need to make, or here's where you need to be, this is what you need to do. No, you don't need to do that. Then I think you'll be just fine. But and that's one of the major keys that the young brother needs to understand, is that seek a more seasoned brother who's willing to disperse knowledge to you and to help show you how he got where he is.
And you know what? Your opportunity might come faster than you think, because as man plans, God laughs, and sometimes these opportunities come right away. And like Brother Hawkins said, you have to be prepared. Nobody didn't say you had to be perfect, but you have to be prepared. The other thing is, you do have to surround yourself, and I mean this comes from the Entered Apprentice charge, that you may seek Masonic knowledge, that you will surround yourself with well-informed brethren who will be always willing to give as you will be to receive instruction. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get it in your own lodge. You can go outside of your lodge and get it from other brothers as well. I think brothers have to get out and they have to travel. They have to see what other lodges are doing. They may draw some inspiration from some of these other lodges. Somewhere along the line, they might want to incorporate some of the things that take place in those respective lodges, but you have to earn the trust, and you have to make sure that you are worthy and well qualified to take on some of the positions and opportunities that you are seeking in your respective lodge.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on that?
I want to. There was a question that was asked, and I think this is another one of those revolving, I guess you would call it, observations that we see as young men in the fraternity, and that's and it not only goes to leadership, but it also goes to our more seasoned members of our lodges and the grand lodges, and that goes to there's a growing aversion to leadership, where you end up seeing there's a antagonistic relationship between when people talk about Grand Lodge leadership, there's a particular demographic that automatically has a wall that immediately comes up. The Grand Lodge they're not everything. I know that's something that you deal with. And tell us about that. But this is the question that was particularly asked by the brother, and he asked, what do you feel? What do you say to the young brothers that feel left out and somewhat dismayed? What do you say to those brothers that automatically have a wall put up between not only the senior brothers, but also they have a wall up to not only senior leadership, but also young leaders?
Well, I think, me personally, every member is important. First off, worshipful master, grandmaster, they cannot lead alone. They need help. They need assistance. They need people who are going to be willing workers to move the organization forward. Let me also say, that if you do have ideas and you do have opportunities, here in New Jersey, if you have an idea, you have an opportunity, and you share that with us, we will put you to task to take on that idea that you particularly have. Now, I'll give you a prime example. There was one brother in our jurisdiction that wanted to establish this college bus tour. So I said to him, all right, at our next cabinet meeting, I would like for you to have a proposal and a budget, make that presentation at our cabinet meeting, and we have a battery of questions for you. And if we feel comfortable about it, we will go with it. And he went up to task, came with a budget, came with a proposal, and was very effective in the meeting that we had. And now we have a college bus tour. Let me also say that everybody that comes into the organization is not equipped to be worshipful master, but that doesn't mean that they can't be effective in the organization. We have some brothers who are very passionate about Masonic scholarship. If that's their niche, let them do that. There are some brothers who like to deal with the community service programs at the grassroots level. If that's what they like to do, allow them to do that. It's just like me in the school district. Every kid that I come across is not college bound, but there are some young brothers who might want to go to trade school, who might want to go in the military. They might have other passions somewhere else. We can't try to make everybody be worshipful master that get raised from a dead level to a living perpendicular on the square, because everybody is not built for positions of leadership by title. But everybody can be a leader, and everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And that is the biggest thing. It's about service. It's not about the title, it's the service. It's not about favoritism, it's about the fitness. Am I doing what I need to do? What type of value do I bring to my organization? What type of value do my organization have in my community? These are questions that we need to ask our brothers in the lodge and ask ourselves individually. Do I have skills? Do I have value to this lodge? And if you do, I think you need to exercise those components. And then maybe somewhere along the line, after you have studied and you have stayed patient and you have worked hard and you have obtained some knowledge, maybe you might have aspirations to be worshipful master. But I don't think we need to force feed people in positions of leadership. I think we need to allow them to find their niche and their passion, and allow them to work and flourish in that particular area.
Very good. Thank you, Grandmaster. We have a question actually coming from a sister, Cynthia Armstrong, who writes, she's enjoying the discussion. She wants to know that as a Prince Hall Eastern Star, she's observed and experienced that some of the challenges within the lodges also affect our Order of the Eastern Star chapters as well. And she would like to know, how do you think, how can leaders on the male side of the family as well as the female side, how can they work effectively together to create a better organization within the Prince Hall Masonic family? So I think I left off with Grandmaster Prescott, so I'm going to go back to you, Most Worshipful Hawkins. You can take that.
I think the way to do that is to communicate, have an open line of communication between the brothers and the sisters, because a lot of things may get without communication. There's a lot of times there's misunderstanding, and I think as long as you communicate and know what each other's needs are, wants and needs are, and you can articulate those to one another, that you can have a great working relationship with the Eastern Star, and everyone get along just fine and work together to make the Prince Hall family much greater.
We had another question from Brother Japheth West out of Diversity Lodge 330 out of Virginia, and this one's to you, Grandmaster Hawkins. What inspired the Prince Hall Americanism Day Classic?
Well, the Prince Hall Americanism Day classic was inspired by, first of all, the first thing I wanted to do was, after being elected, was to have a centralized Prince Hall Americanism Day rather than individual lodges celebrating Prince Hall Americanism Day. I want to have it a statewide Prince Hall Americanism Day, number one. Number two, I want to bring an opportunity to the organization to be able to let their hair down. As I stated earlier, in the jurisdiction of Alabama, we really didn't do anything. The Blue Lodge really didn't socialize a lot, is what I'm saying. So I want to give us an opportunity to be able to socialize and have a good time together and get to know each other better outside of a lodge setting. And I thought this would be the great opportunity to do that by way of tailgating and having a good time. And the third thing was to help assist an HBCU by way of scholarship. So when we put the team together, and we were fortunate enough to come across Alabama State University, who were willing to team with us in getting it done, and it's been a huge success. It brings a lot of visibility to the organization, as well as we're helping kids go to school, and we're also assisting Alabama State in bringing new students to the school because of the visibility that we help bring. We've made it an annual thing, and we look forward to it each year. And as I travel throughout the jurisdiction, I always come across brothers, and that's one way. They always speak about how much they enjoyed themselves at the game that entire weekend. What we do, we'll have a social function on that Friday. That Saturday, we will tailgate that morning. Then we'll go to the game. We'll present the scholarship check at the halftime of the game. That's Saturday social function, and go to church for Prince Hall Americanism Day. But it gives that young brother who's looking for, who may not be so much into being formal all the time, it gives him an opportunity to feel included, and it also gives that seasoned brother an opportunity to pass on some of life's lessons. It may not have anything to do with Masonry, but just some of life's lessons to those younger brothers who need to hear that wisdom from those seasoned guys.
Let me say, in regards to Brother Hawkins, here in New Jersey, we actually, myself in particular, drew inspiration from your Prince Hall weekend that you have. And, you know, we have our annual Prince Hall Day service as well. We do it statewide. But I just felt that we needed to do something in addition to the Prince Hall Day service, in which led us to our Prince Hall Community Festival. Pretty much along the same lines of your feeling and views on not only getting the brothers and sisters to work together, but also do it from a component of service. And with our Prince Hall Community Festival, what we try to do is have the festival in one community, and we have the service in another community. So we're actually hitting two areas within the same weekend. And then the following year, we go to two different communities. But getting involved with the stakeholders and the supportive services in different communities, and trying to provide support and being a haven of resources to those respective communities is commendable, especially to a man that we adore and respect, and he was all about service himself. But we did draw a lot of inspiration, and the idea of having this Prince Hall weekend through our community festival and our service, especially paying attention to the programs that you had in Alabama. Sometimes you never know who's watching and paying attention to what's going on. So I just want to say I respect that. And this thing, we all want the same thing. I truly believe, as Masons. We all want the same thing, to build and improve on this brand, and that we can draw inspiration from each other. That's what it's all about. So we're going to keep this Prince Hall Community Festival going along with our service. And the other thing, if I may add, I know I'm talking a lot. The other thing I want to add is that these programs are not one-shot deals. These programs have to have long-term commitments, and we have to try to build off of them every year. It's not about when I come in office, I'm going to put my ideals in place, and let's see what happens, and then prayerfully the brother behind me will continue to do it, but yet he comes in and do something different. We have to have consistency and longevity with our programs wherever we do them, in whatever jurisdiction. And I think in New Jersey, we have a complete understanding with our cabinet that we want to build off of the programs that we have in place. And our brothers are very, very cooperative and supportive. And I'm very blessed and thankful for the cabinet that I do have here in New Jersey.
This one is I'm gonna do a quick follow-up. This one is a two-part question, but it's particularly important given that Grandmaster Hawkins, you're in the Bible Belt, and Grandmaster Prescott, you're in the East Coast, more progressive, moving, and the thought process. And the question is coming from Sister Hackett. And she asks, essentially, why are the older members reluctant to embrace youth when in biblical times, very many of the strongest leaders were young men, not limited to Jeremiah, King David, Samuel, and also Jesus. But I'm going to couple this next question also in with the passage of knowledge, and then the inclusion of other faiths in Grand Lodge workings. How do you guys see the inclusion of young men when a lot of our Grand Lodges and our subordinate lodges are try to cling on to they cling to faith centers? And how do you bring the universality of Freemasonry into play? But also, as you're doing that, how do you also see in the background a passing of knowledge? This type of knowledge should be going from brother to brother, that it is a universal fraternity.
Well, I would say nothing worthwhile comes easy, and even those people during biblical times met some reluctance. One that we celebrate who met reluctance, but we do know he overcame, and he's our Lord and Savior. But you can't get discouraged. You have to keep pressing hard. And I know there's times when it just feels like that it's not going to get any better, that because you're young and you're being told, well, you're too young right now. I think all of us have probably heard that before. But someone said it earlier on this show, I think Grandmaster Prescott said it, your time may come sooner than you think. I'd never in my wildest dream did I think I'd be elected the Grandmaster of Alabama at the age of 39 years old. If someone had told me that, I would have told them they were crazy. But it happened. Hard work pays off, and if you work hard, people will see it, and is not paying any attention to you. He's watching you, and that's why you have to conduct yourself properly at all times, because as Grandmaster Prescott stated earlier, you never know who's watching you. I had people tell me I was ready before I thought I was ready. So a lot of times people will see something in you that you don't see in yourself, and a lot of times it's that seasoned brother who actually sees it and will approach you about it. So that's what I'm saying. Just keep the faith, keep working hard. Don't get discouraged, don't quit. Just keep doing what you're doing, and doors will open up. But at the same time, don't seek out the position. If it's meant for you, it will happen. And there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. And if it's not meant for you, it will not happen. And there's nothing anyone can do to make it happen. So just keep working hard, and if it's meant for you, it will happen.
When I was Worshipful Master, I had a meeting with the Past Masters Council, and I made an appeal to the Past Masters Council that I wanted each line officer to have an advisor, and I wanted to use the Past Masters Council to serve as advisors. That was one of the ways that we use our past masters within our lives with the younger brethren. They will have those conversations. They will build the relationship with that particular line officer. Was it easy? Was it perfect when we put it in place? Absolutely not. But when we did have line officers that weren't doing what they were supposed to do, of course we held them accountable, but we were also asked the question, well, who is their advisor? Because if you want to be involved, that was one of the good ways of being involved, because you get a chance to serve as a guiding light to a lot of our newer brothers. But on top of that, everything takes time, brothers. It takes time. It's not going to happen right away. And everybody that's on this panel right now, their life circumstances are different. The geographic location, the numbers, the makeup, the amount of brethren that you have in your lodge is different. So the approach may be a little bit different. But when the time comes, you just have to be ready. And I know if I was one of the older brethren, I would be very reluctant to pass that torch on as well, because I knew the experiences and the time that I had to put in to get to certain positions. That doesn't mean that you don't have exceptions to the rules. And what I mean by that is that you have some talented brothers out there and sisters that can get the job done. But this thing is not a rush job. It takes time. It takes time, and we have to just make sure that we find ways to stimulate the interest of our members. And I think outside of the ritualistic work and committees, we have to find other creative ways to stimulate the interest of the members and get everybody involved, because everybody is important. I don't think nobody should feel that they're not important to move their lodge forward. But we have to be creative in ways of stimulating their interest and motivating them and inspiring them to move forward. And that's one of the greatest components of leadership, is how do you inspire your membership? What makes them come back? It's just like a student who doesn't cut your class. What makes that student come back? Why the rest of the students don't cut the class either? There's something that's going on in that class that has grabbed their interest. And I think it's the same thing in the office of Worshipful Master, that if you're sincere about what you're doing, and you're sincere about the work, and you're sincere about involving people and being creative while not circumventing the tradition and the structure that we have in place, you'll have people come back.
Thank you for that, Grandmaster Prescott. Got another question. This is for Grandmaster Hawkins. What programs can be implemented to help teach lodge management? And as a young leader, how can you break the barriers of resistance to change for this type of training?
Currently, in the jurisdiction of Alabama, we're presently in the process of putting together a Worshipful Master certification program, which is focusing on the lodge management, which will include a class, a seminar, as well as a handbook to go along with it. And each newly elected master will have to be certified in order to serve as master of his lodge. Because since being the Worshipful Master, that's why I see, since being the Grandmaster, that's why I see we need the more focus and concentration on is lodge management. And there's books out there, you know. And one thing that we have to do, you have to want to better yourself. And there's books out there that you can purchase that will help. You know, the Worshipful Master's Assistant, several other books out there that you can look at and read. And some of them may not even have anything to do with masonry, but they're just good leadership books that will assist you in being able to set up a budget. You know, knowing what to look for when you're looking for committee appointments. And one thing that I think where we drop the ball a lot of times is when it comes to investigating prospective members of the organization. Right then, the master should be looking at what does that individual do for a living, what are his hobbies, what are his interests, things of that nature, so that if and when he passes, initiated, passed, and raised, you already know what committee you're going to put him on, because you already know what his expertise or his interests are. Too often we bring a brother in and let him sit on the side until he gets discouraged and stops coming, rather than putting him to work as soon as he comes in. There's work to be done. And, you know, all lodges have their own individual programs, but I think every member of that lodge should be a part of a committee or something of that nature to keep his interest going and to keep him motivated. So that's what we're doing. We're implementing a Worshipful Master certification program. There's always the seasoned Worshipful Master or past master who you can get ideas from, get advice from if you're a young Worshipful Master. And Grandmaster Prescott said it earlier, you're not going to learn everything you need to know just by going to your lodge meeting. You have to get out and travel, because that way you learn a lot more. You have to use a filter, because some things that you learn you don't need to take back to your lodge, but there are some things that you learn that you can take back and will assist your lodge in becoming a better lodge. But that's what we're doing, and that's what I've seen. Lodge management is where the young brother really needs the assistance in serving in the East in this organization. Young brother has no problems reciting the ritual a lot of times, but it's the lodge management where we lack sometimes. And I said it earlier, it's easy to put on the hat and the gavel, but what are you doing between meetings? How are you conducting your meeting? It's easy to do the opening and closing, but how are you conducting your meeting? What are you doing between meetings? Are you making sure your committees are meeting? Are you checking on the sick and elderly brothers who can't come out to meetings anymore? Are you treating your seasoned and all brothers with respect? You know, as master of the lodge, you know, you still should say yes sir, no sir to your seasoned membership, you know, because they've earned that. And those are the kind of things, you know, a lot of times we take the power of a Worshipful Master and try to make it out to be more than what it is, but you're still a servant to the organization.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, Grandmaster, were you going to add on?
Just to kind of piggyback off Most Worshipful Hawkins, in New Jersey, we have a line officers training manual that's in place for the Office of Worshipful Master Senior and Junior Warden. We also have seminars that we have quarterly that is mandatory for the Worshipful Master Senior and Junior Wardens statewide. We also have schools of instructions within our districts. Let me just say that, first off, Worshipful Master has to have a plan. He has to have a trestle board. And a lot of times we take those things for granted. He needs to have a plan in place on the direction that the lodge is going. Now, a trestle board, a booklet, that most of our worshipful masters, well, all of them, are required to do. When they put that trestle board in place, it should have all of the committees, it should have all of the programs, and the direction that the lodge, he would like to see the lodge go into. In addition to the trestle board, they're required to send out monthly communications, in which we like to consider our active trestle board, because a lot of times we do have brothers who are not able to make meetings because of health issues or whatever the case may be, but I think everybody needs to know what's going on in the respective lodges. So there needs to be some direction from the office of worshipful master if you want somebody to follow you. And then the other thing is, when we have these seminars, it is your responsibility to take this information back to your craft. So whereas when you have your lodge meetings, you can expound on this information to your brethren. And that will also set the stage for those who have aspirations to be in that position in the future. So you know, it's not an easy process when you talk about being a worshipful master and being a leader. When you open up your lodge meetings, like Brother Hawkins said, it's great to open up your lodge meetings with proficiency and efficiency, but what are you doing in your meetings? What type of committees do you have in place? Are you conducting your meetings properly? Do you have an agenda? Are you giving Masonic light to your membership? What type of dialogue are you having outside of just dealing with programs and purchasing tickets? I think there needs to be some substance at our lodge meetings outside of the traditional things of reading communications and talking about the same nonsense that have made people walk away from the lodge. And that's where the creativity has to come in place. What type of subject matter is being discussed in the lodge that's going to help build the membership? Are we talking about Masonic law, Masonic jurisprudence? Are we talking about different historical components of Freemasonry? Do your line officers bring presentations to the lodge meeting? Your junior warden, your senior warden, your senior deacon, or a master mason that's sitting on the side that don't have a position. We have to learn how to involve all of our members, especially if we want them to come back. So the worshipful master, he needs to put these components in place when he's establishing his trestle board. Just like a teacher needs lesson plans and an architect needs blueprints, a lodge needs a trestle board. We need to know what direction we're going in.
Thank you for that, Most Worshipful Sir. Okay, we're getting late into the hour, so this is going to be the final question. I want to thank everybody who has submitted a question. If we don't answer it online, we will try to either answer it directly from our panelists here, or if you have a particular question, we will try to route it to the Grandmaster who you want to direct it to, and hopefully get a response at a later time. The last question is going to be, with the advent of modern technology, social media, you know, we've seen Freemasonry react to this in very many different ways. We see things posted online sometimes that would not be appropriate to be posted, but people do those things anyway. But on the other side, and I think on a more positive level, you know, I've seen people on a number of different Facebook groups or Twitter or Instagram or different things where they'll say, hey, you know, I joined this Prince Hall group online, or this Masonic group, you know, period, and I feel I learn more sitting at home on my laptop than I do in my actual lodge meeting. So, as a Grandmaster, where do you see the future of Prince Hall Masonry going with respect to technology, and where do we find that healthy balance? I'm going to ask Grandmaster Prescott to start us off, and then Grandmaster Hawkins to follow up as we close out.
Okay.
By the way, yes, this is a trick question.
No, it's perfectly fine. If I'm not mistaken, I'm Facebook friends with everybody on this panel except Most Worshipful Hawkins. I don't even know if he has a Facebook account. Most Worshipful Sir, you have a Facebook account?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't send you a friend request and you rejected it. So, but let me just say that social media is a great component when it is used properly. It gives the organization a chance to control the narrative on the programs and on the operations of our organization. I think everything should be done with respect and within good taste. I don't mind brothers expressing their opinions, and I'm not saying that they can't be normal. However, sometimes you look on social media and you'll see things coming from Master Masons and Eastern Stars, and it has no business being on social media. Let me just say this for the record, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If you are a Master Mason and you are an Eastern Star, you are a Master Mason and Eastern Star all the time. I don't care if you are on social media. So those norms and expectations are supposed to carry even outside of the doors or the confines of your lodge and your chapter. I do believe that there are some positive group components on Facebook and other groups where there is some great conversations and great information that come off of social media, like Brother Galar. A lot of the information that he gives out, and Brother Collins and me and Brother Morgan, I mean, we talk all the time via social media, and Brother Ken Collins. I mean, I have a great respect for all of the work that you brethren are doing. Masonic scholarship, I think, is great. But I think every little once in a while we have to pull the coattail of some of our members to make them understand that we are Masons and we are Eastern Stars. I don't care what type of forum we in. We should still have that upstanding and moral rectitude of conduct in any and everything that we do. But when it comes to social media, we have to learn how to control the narrative, and we can actually sell Freemasonry to the community on all the positive things that we do. I can't even count the amount of times that I have received an inbox or a message from a lot of the programs that we have done within the jurisdiction of New Jersey. But there are some traditional things that we have to keep in place because there are a lot of our brothers who are not a part of the social media aspect. So we have to keep that balance, but I do believe that we also have to move forward in the 21st century.
Thank you,
and I ditto everything Grandmaster Prescott said. I'm just not a social media person, but I do think it's a great asset to the organization. When I don't think it's the place to air dirty laundry or take shots at other brothers or sisters. I think it can be used to promote the organization, and that's what it needs to be used for, is the promotion of the organization, not to tear down the organization. So as long as we're using social media to promote Freemasonry, it's a great thing, and it's just like a handgun. If a gun's just laying there, it's not going to do any damage. It's the person who uses it that determines whether or not the damage is going to be done. So those people who are using social media have to be cognizant of, like I said, they are Master Masons and Eastern Stars at all times. And just because you're on social media does not give you the green light to go out of your way to disgrace the organization.
All right, thank you for that, Grandmaster Hawkins. And lastly, for my comments, right after I was elected senior warden, the worship master at the time was Matthew Bonham, who is now our district deputy Grand Master. He told me that in order to when I was progressing to the seat of worship master, I need to think about finding that delicate balance between the older membership and the younger membership. So I started looking at my current Grand Lodge leadership. Our Grand Master, Most Worshipful Bruce James, is middle-aged with a lot of old school values. Our Deputy Grand Master is young with a new age view. But both of them work hand in hand, and they have found that delicate balance, which allows the older membership and the younger membership to work together hand in hand. So Grandmasters, how would you, I guess, what advice would you give to those young leaders, and how we can find that delicate balance between in our lodges?
Well, first thing is, don't throw the seasoned brother away, because the wisdom that he has, the time that he has put in, he deserves a seat at the table. One thing that we've done in the jurisdiction of Alabama is that we did not have implemented prior to my becoming Grandmaster. We have implemented the 50-year membership pin, along with a certificate that we give to that brother. We also, which this was being done before I was elected, brothers who attend the Grand Lodge session who have at least 50 years of service, we bring to the Grand East and give them a seat in the Grand East. We always try to come up with new ways of keeping the seasoned brother involved with the younger brother. And as long as both are feel as though they're involved, then things will go fine. I stated earlier, in my opinion, the best lodge is the lodge that's composed of the seasoned brother and the younger brother, because the younger brother can do the leg work, and the seasoned brother can disperse the knowledge. And it's good chemistry. If you have those two working together, things can go well. You are solidifying the future of Prince Hall Freemasonry, and at the same time, you are respecting.
I think communication is very important when it comes to all the members in your lodge. I think with our seasoned brothers, and I said this earlier in our conversations, that our seasoned brothers want to have the understanding that their ideas and their ideals are being respected, that we are not leaving these brothers out. This organization is progressive, but we also have to understand that we do have customs and traditions in place that keep us honest. And these customs and traditions, when they're effective and when they're positive and when they're serving as an advocate for our work and not an adversary, I think we need to keep them utilized, and we have to implement them. I don't care how old a brother is or how young a brother is, we have to learn how to work together. When it comes to our Grand Cabinet, we are a prime example, and I'm proud to say, of progression. This organization is based on universality. In our cabinet, I am 41, and I am Christian Baptist. Our Deputy Grandmaster is 47, and he's a Muslim. Our Senior Grand Warden is 48, and he's a Muslim. And our Junior Warden is 42, and he is a devout Christian. So when you talk about diversity, and you're talking about the universality of Freemasonry, I think we are an example, one, and number two, we genuinely have a great respect and appreciation for each other because we are in constant communication. I believe we all have to stay on the same page if we want this organization to move forward. If we're not parallel and we're perpendicular, the people will look at our craft and look at our leadership and say, we can't follow these brothers. So we all have to be on the same page, and I think that's a process of communication. The other thing is, this past year, when I came in as Grandmaster in June, I appointed the first imam to the Grand Chaplain staff. Most of our Grand Chaplains are ministers and pastors of churches, but we do have a diverse group of brethren within our organization, particularly those of the Islamic faith, and we appointed an imam to the chaplain staff. And that's not to say that we don't have a lot more work to do, but I do think that we are heading in the right direction because this organization is about universality. We have to learn how to respect each other and communicate with each other, even if we have differences in religion, differences in opinions of politics, because that should have no position within our organization. It's not about moving the organization forward, and I just don't think it has a place there. You know, I just believe that, you know, we just have to communicate, and we have to keep that process in place for all of our brothers to see. We have to model those expectations that we set for everybody else.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. We've reached the 10 o'clock hour, past the 10 o'clock hour. We appreciate everybody for their participation. What we want to do, Grandmaster Hawkins, Grandmaster Prescott, we'll let you guys give, you know, a closing statement or whatnot. And again, we thank you for coming on, and then we'll go to our closing statements from Preston, James, and then myself, and then Dave, and then we'll go ahead and close out.
Oh, well, first of all, I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to share the panel with you all and Most Worshipful Prescott. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the dialogue. Prince Hall Freemasonry is rich in heritage, and it's our job. We have a lot of pressure on us, if you don't know, being the two youngest Grandmasters in Prince Hall Masonry. And our actions and the way we carry ourselves in many ways determines whether or not that young brother gets an opportunity to progress in the line somewhere. So it's our duty to fulfill the legacy of Prince Hall and to uphold the organization so that we're standing on the shoulders of some of the seasoned brothers, and one day, hopefully, we'll have younger brothers standing on our shoulders. And once again, I thank you, and may God bless all of you.
Let me just say once again, thank you, brothers, for inviting me to this very enlightening and inspirational conversation that we had this evening, to this panel, and particularly Most Worshipful Corey Hawkins. Thank you, sir, for your service. And I definitely draw inspiration from you. You're doing some great things in the jurisdiction of Alabama, and you know, prayerfully, we get a chance to fellowship. Yeah. As Grandmasters, one day. I know we got the Conference of Grandmasters coming up, but I'm talking about outside of that realm. And sir, however we can help you, and you know, don't hesitate to call on us. And I'm quite sure that those sentiments will be reciprocated. Exactly. Yes, sir. To the rest of the panel, brothers, keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep moving Freemasonry forward with these forums. And I really appreciate and respect the Masonic scholarship that you brothers exemplify, and keep pressing forward, brothers. Very proud of you, and I'll definitely be looking out for the next program. And hopefully James Morgan will get in contact with me earlier than he did before. God bless you all, brothers.
Yes, sir. Your orders shall be punctually obeyed, Most Worshipful Grandmaster, sir. All right. As we close out, again, I want to thank everybody for being on here, especially our special guests, Most Worshipful Shelton Prescott, Most Worshipful Corey Hawkins. You know, it's meant a lot to me personally to have my home state Grandmaster here, even though I'm not a member. I'm an honorary member of that jurisdiction, but not an actual member. And then I have deep Alabama roots on my mom's side, so you know, I felt like we were winning both ways. I do want to make sure that before we close out, that I let everybody know, if you don't know, to go out and pick up a copy of The Greatest Prince Hall Mason of the 20th Century. It's a new book published by the Phylaxis Society, compiled by Worshipful Alton Roundtree, and edited by Brother Jeff Menzies, PhD, out of the jurisdiction of Ohio. It's a very good book with some of today's up-and-coming Masonic leaders, as well as some of the more established writers. I myself contributed a chapter to it on a chapter on Brother W.E.B. Du Bois. But you have others in the book as well, such as John L. Hairston, out of Washington State. As I said, out in Roundtree contributed a chapter. We got Brother Rex out of Massachusetts, and we're writing about great Prince Hall Masons and how they inspired us to move this organization forward. So I will post the URL. The book is $24.95 to get a copy. So please, please, please support this. This is an example of young leaders in Prince Hall Masonry trying to move it forward and doing it. Not because anybody necessarily asked us to or told us to, but because we know what we were first prepared to be Masons, and that's what that is. So with that said, everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Well, we want to I definitely have to say thank you, not only to my Grandmaster Hawkins, for participating this evening, but also to Grandmaster Prescott. It's been a real pleasure. And before, what the audience doesn't know is that we had a running joke about how many times I've been suspended in my jurisdiction, and I'm up to about, I think it's 52 right now, 152 times. 53, excuse me. Let's go ahead and hit that number 4. So, in the great state of Alabama, my Grandmaster is not a fan of one of my favorite schools, so I had to put my theme song on as we go out. But no, we do that every single episode. But everybody
you're not suspended. You're expelled.
But no, we definitely wanted to say we really appreciate you guys for coming on, because it really it's a testimony that we're moving forward, even in the slightest bit of progression that we get. One Grandmaster is on Facebook, another one isn't. Another one sees both see both the positive and the negative that can come from using social media. But in particular, the conversation that we had today, we can't hit everything all in one show, and we're glad that you guys were up front and honest with us about some of the questions that, and were even able to answer the questions that some of our guests gave. Just as a heads up to everyone, please be on the lookout for the Collins and Gillarm compendium on Prince Hall Freemasonry. It's going to be a collection of volumes of historical documents for brothers to be able to put in hand. That'll be coming out prayerfully within by May 1. We plan to have those out. They'll be covering different Grand Lodge proceedings. That way people can actually have the history in their hands. I think that one of the bigger issues that we end up having is the brothers don't have something in hand that they can actually read. And Dave and I have been working hard to try to get these together, get them compiled. Let's get them wrapped up in something neat. That way you can put it in your pocket, and put it on your bookshelves. But again, both Grandmasters, Dave, Preston, James, again, another great episode. And we also want to thank each and every one of our viewers for tuning in. Each of you are extremely important to us.
All right, thank you, Brother Collins, and Brother Collins. All right, now, Brother Preston, would you be able to give us your parting comments?
First of all, I want to apologize. I've been having some technical difficulties of my own over here on my end, but to both Most Worshipful Sirs, both Most Worshipful Prescott and Most Worshipful Hawkins, thank you for taking the time out on your Easter weekend to discuss a few things with us. I've been told by quite a few brothers that by us having Grandmasters on our program, it makes them feel like a Grandmaster is more easily accessible than what we get wrapped up in the ceremonies and things like that dealing with Freemasonry, and brothers tend to forget that their Grandmaster is a man just like they are. So I want to thank you for being here with us and helping to show younger brothers that you can't be afraid to ask questions of a Grandmaster, and that a Grandmaster is a man just like you are and will answer your questions for you. So to Ken and Dave and James, once again, another successful show minus my technical difficulties on my end. I'll try to make sure I got all of that squared away by the next program.
Happy Easter to everybody. I love you all. Thanks for coming out. Good night.
All right. Thank you for that, Brother Collins, and appreciate you working through those technical difficulties. As far as my parting comments go, for the younger brothers, when you get put in these positions, have some type of plan. Um, for, from my own experience, and the brothers in the Columbus area know, one of the biggest things that we do is our Feed 100, where we feed the homeless during Thanksgiving. This was something that myself and past Master Carlos Smith, who actually became a Mason right after me, so we were both had been Masons less than around 3 years. We both came together, put this plan together to feed the homeless during Thanksgiving. We then went to our district deputy Grand Master at the time, Brother Freddie Grissom, and one thing he said that he was going to support us. This was an older gentleman that, even though this was a new school idea, he didn't turn it away. We had a plan together, and he said, "I'll support you fully." We put that plan together and put it in action, and now we're feeding 300 people during Thanksgiving. So just have a plan when you come up with some of these ideas. Also, close out with our next show. This was actually a continuation of the show we had with Brother Damian Jack, because so many brothers want to know about esoteric things in Masonry. We're actually going to have Brother Tahuti, who's the Grand Historian for the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of D.C., talk about Masonic spirituality. So that should definitely prove to be a very interesting show. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. We was down in Selma shooting live, and thank you for Grandmaster Hawkins and Grandmaster Carl Williams from Ohio for your interviews, and all the other brothers that we interviewed during that time. It was a great experience. And once again, this Prince Hall, as me and Ken walking around, everybody talked about how important the Prince Hall think tank is to Masonic education now. So if you get the time, go to Brother Antonio Caffey's page and thank him. This Prince Hall think tank would not have been in existence if it wasn't for him. So please give him a shout out whenever you can. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you at the next show.